We Are Change talk show. I'd like to thank everybody that tuned in to our very first episode. It's with your support that we're able to make this broadcast happen. We have a very full show for you today, so we'll jump straight into it. Our very first caller is Smokin' Joe. Joe would like to talk about conspiracies and the corruption that he has experienced. It was 9/11 that first got you thinking that there was a corrupt force here at work. Now, that got a lot of people's interest, knowing that a lot didn't connect with some of the official narrative, the story that was handed out to the people. They started to question maybe it was an inside job.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was orders given. Israel was a big part of that. A lot of people refused to actually cover that aspect to it. You see, Alex Jones got a lot of people open to that, as well as other conspiracy theorists, truth seekers, truth tellers. You've been targeted by government and experienced corruption due to your activism. Can you explain to the viewers just exactly what you've encountered?
The brunt of it took place right after my thank you to my brother who recorded the whole thing, my protest last year on Anzac Day. For those of you who aren't in Australia, Anzac Day is when they commemorate all of the soldiers, all of the wars from Australia and New Zealand, especially World War I and World War II. At about 5 in the morning, I walked among 20,000 veterans and their families, and during the minute's silence, I yelled at the top of my lungs, "The courageous will never be silent as long as these wars continue senseless violence. Stop the wars, bring peace to the world." And so then I walked off. The cops grabbed me, assaulted me,
That's shocking.
my head off the concrete like a revolutionary basketball. Then they arrested me, charged me with a whole bunch of ridiculous, frivolous charges, using offensive behaviour or committing offensive behaviour, committing a nuisance in a war memorial, a couple other ridiculous charges.
Which is exactly the opposite to what you set out to achieve, educating people on...
Beyond asinine that they would target me for bringing peace.
It's very macabre and twisted.
It's ridiculous how the next night on TV, or I think it was that night in fact, the police commissioner of this state, New South Wales, called me a terrorist and said that they had started a brand new anti-terrorism unit called the Fixated Persons Unit to surveil me and to surveil other people who were terrorists. Insane, because I said, stop the war, bring peace to the world. They just want to label everyone who speaks out for peace as a terrorist. They want to demonize and criticize and ostracize us to scare other people away from speaking the truth.
Well said. That's a classic example of fake news. First the police file a report, and that gets shipped off to a fusion centre, and then you end up on a terrorist watch list when you were actually doing the exact opposite by promoting peace and prosperity on the planet. It's very unusual that people would be celebrating a day when soldiers were sent off to possibly be slaughtered. I mean, and to be proud to be a part of such an event is it's very strange, and it's very unsettling. We here at We Are Change are trying to promote a peaceful planet, not one where there's battles ensuing. And I think it was Henry Kissinger that even said that the soldiers are just pawns to be used in foreign policy. And yeah,
definitely, and that pot-bellied, pencil-necked propaganda pushing pedophile puppet Kissinger and the rest of his New World Order ilk, they just use the poor people all over the world as pawns in their wars, and they don't give two hoots about any of the soldiers or their families. They're all playing golf together. They're all conducting their satanic sacrifices together and
exactly.
The human race.
It must have really upset you when you seen the false and misleading stories published slandering your name.
It didn't upset me because I knew what I was doing and I knew the backlash that I would receive. It was disconcerting to see so many death threats against me openly in Facebook comments. Literally dozens and dozens of death threats. I received so many more in personal inboxes everywhere. And the thing is, it's so beyond ironic that they would target me and come up with a fixated person's unit to surveil me when I have never propagated violence or I've never pushed violence. I've always been 100% peaceful, 100% non-violent, and they totally ignore all of the actual threats of violence being put forward against me. It's ridiculous.
I can't believe that they would do that. You deserve support and encouragement, and the overall message should have got through to people, especially due to the fact that you're calling out for peace. And for them to do that, it just goes to show how they try and control the official narrative to push these agendas when you're actually 10 times more likely to be killed by a police officer than an actual terrorist. That's statistics. So you started Save the World Army. Explain what that is about and what you've achieved so far besides this protest.
Through my activism, I've built a massive following over the years, and I am streaming live to all my revolutionary warriors now with my tags around my neck. We all have revolutionary warrior tags, and they say on them, they have everyone's code name and revolutionary warrior number, and they say on them, our love will save the world and we will be victorious. Because these disgusting, decrepit, diabolical, deleterious demons want to use fear. They want to make everyone scared of all, everyone scared of their neighbour, everyone scared of their own shadow. And we realise that we have to use the power of love to uplift people, to allow them to see the truth and allow them to have the courage to stand up against this evil system. We have been escalating our activism over the past few months and years. Last weekend in Newtown, Sydney, we had an anti-chemtrail protest. It was so great to see so many revolutionary warriors there, and several other revolutionary warriors in the United States. I would like to shout out to Revolutionary Sergeant 701 Private Pete in Johnsonia, Arkansas, Revolutionary Sergeant 411 Four Rise in New York, and Revolutionary Sergeant 423 Atoll of Truth in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, USA, who all lead their respective squads who held simultaneous anti-chemtrail protests in their cities.
Very good.
A week before that, we had a Save the Children rally with working in collaboration with Unite for Children's Rights in Australia.
Yes, I hosted the Melbourne event for the Australia Unite for Children's Rights. I was the MC for that, and I was also approached to host a chemtrail rally and protest, but we couldn't garner the support that was necessary. A lot of people, they're watching their football games and their sporting events, but when it actually comes to protests and events that matter, they're far and few between. I don't know if it's the fluoride that they're drinking, why people are caught in this delirium where they're supporting events that actually have no positive outcome. It's meaningless in retrospect compared to some of the events like the Australia Unite for Children's Rights, the No Jab No Pay rally. These are events that we need thousands of people showing up at. Sporting events, the MCG, I mean, that's not going to help humanity.
You're exactly right, and it's really sad that there are so many men that have been distracted and diverted and deceived, because we know that all of these sporting events are just used to channel and divert a man's instincts.
That's right.
A man's instincts are to protect his family, to protect his tribe, and instead of them standing up for their family against the government that is poisoning their water, poisoning their food, injecting their children with deadly vaccines, instead of standing up for their family, they have their instincts diverted, and there are 50,000 of them, in stadiums all over the world who are shouting at the top of their lungs. Imagine if you had all those men. Imagine if you had all those women.
Exactly.
Shouting with the same force to stop the government.
If people that's right. If people had the exact same passion for events that matter, you could imagine the sort of change that we could affect on government when you have thousands of people marching the streets demanding answers and laws repealed. You'll definitely see an effect from that. But it seems like people are just stuck in this daze. Now, the big thing is waking people up. Now, it's great to have a medium such as this and a platform where you can educate others. That's all very positive. How do you go about trying to educate people? I know you've given a lot of speeches. What are some of the speeches that you've given?
Many of them railed against the ludicrous lockout laws here in Sydney.
Okay.
Seeking to curtail business. That was back in 2014.
Yes.
Also 2014, I was outside the Tower of Babylon, Rupert Murdoch's News Corp,
Right.
going ballistic against them because in their Daily Telegraph newspaper, they had the audacity to have one of their prostitute journalists say that all anti-vaxxers are terrorists and all anti-vaxxers are murderers. I've also spoken and DJ'd at many 420 rallies. I'd like to mention also on the 20th of April this year, we have the 420 rally coming up in Victoria Park, Sydney, celebrating and promoting cannabis because we know that cannabis cures cancer. We know that marijuana is the miracle medicine that manages a myriad of maladies.
Yes, and I believe you actually said that in one of your speeches, those exact words. That's very powerful. Yeah, I actually watched that. Very good. I'm looking forward to the 420 event as well. Hopefully we can get a lot of numbers to attend and celebrate this wonderful medicine that's saving lives. And as you said, a lot of this vaccine catastrophe, to call people terrorists when to force vaccines in itself is a terroristic act, because it goes against the Nuremberg trials. You can't force injections into people when they're under extreme duress, and they don't want to do that. It's a violation of human rights. We've been covering that on the show. I actually wrote and presented a film, Anti-Vax, where we highlight some of these catastrophes. A lot of parents want to be able to make their own decisions and not have government legislation forced upon them. But it's sad that the no jab, no pay didn't have an overall much of an effect because the mandatory vaccination laws were still implemented. It come to a lot of people's dismay. You must be really displeased at that as well.
Yeah, I am furious about it because it's straight up murder. They are murdering these children, and it's systematic. It is scientific. It is sadistic. It is satanic what they're doing because we are facing people who are Satanists and who are murdering all these children through the vaccines and through the wars and through a myriad of other means because they are conducting blood sacrifices.
Absolutely.
It's disgusting, but with vaccines specifically, it's so sad the level of brainwashing that is over more than 90% of the population who think that anyone who doesn't want to have their children injected with
and it is very
and mercury and monkey viruses and
absolutely
viruses and cow viruses and pig viruses is some kind of conspiracy theorist or lunatic. It's a real inversion of reality, and that's exactly what the government does on all of these topics. They want to flip reality on its head, and if you just want to be peaceful and keep yourself and be non-violent, then you're a bad person, you're a bad citizen, and of course people are going to attack you from all angles.
It's very Orwellian, and you're exactly right how you said blood sacrifices. A lot of it is very satanic. All you have to do is take one look at Bohemian Grove, where they have an event. It's hosted in the redwood forests outside of San Francisco, and they worship a Canaanite deity named Moloch. And yeah, absolutely. And there's an old audio recording from a radio presenter, Walter Cronkite, and if you actually watch it, it's very disturbing. It's very twisted. And what's even more disturbing is that you have some of the most powerful people in the world, casino owners, politicians, the people that make the big decisions, and they all turn up there religiously. It's, that's a fact, and that's something that the listeners should look into as well. It's a real eye-opener.
Yeah, definitely. Like George Carlin said, it's a big club and you're not in it.
Excellent. Yeah, I like that. I'm a fan of his work as well. That's right.
I think he might have been one of them as well. Who knows?
Right, yeah, sometimes in this day and age it's hard to tell, isn't it?
It is.
But yeah, that's right, and that deserves to be exposed. And I like how in some of your broadcasts you say smashing down the Illuminati. That's very good, because you see a lot of the imagery in music videos and movies and depictions of that. A lot of people are aware of that in a vague sense. So, you know, that's becoming more well known than what it used to be, isn't it?
It's just so blatant and so obvious everywhere in music, in movies, in television. It's really disgusting how they're pushing this Satanism, and it's in some ways subliminal.
Yes.
In other ways, out of your face, pushing it, how they're pushing witchcraft in so many shows.
Absolutely.
Zombies, all this type of stuff.
And covering the one eye, worshipping the one-eyed God, and all their hand symbols. Being a DJ yourself, yeah, you must be familiar with that.
Most definitely, all these scumbags, Jay-Z, Rihanna,
Yes.
pretty much, if you made it in the music industry, if you have a song at the top of the charts, you would have had to have sold out to these Satanists.
100%.
Coming up the pyramid sign.
Exactly.
Holding their one hand over their eye, doing the 666 symbol.
Absolutely. And you know what always was perplexing to me? That there's some people with incredible talent, but they never get off the ground because they're not chosen by this secret society, these cult-like groups. And you wonder, you know, they're extremely talented, but they never seem to go anywhere because they're not selected.
Exactly, or they are propositioned and they have the courage to say no.
Yeah. Absolutely, and then you watch their career spiral down after they reject such an offering.
Well, they disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. It's good to be able to expose this on the air, because they're doing this in more ways than one, you know, through mainstream media. I don't know if you've heard of Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA actually is influencing what you hear on mainstream media. That's a program that came back in the 70s. And it's still operating today, where they want to control the official narrative.
It's admitted that they're putting out propaganda and people swallow it hook, line and sinker.
Absolutely. They started running tests back in movie theatres, where they'd run a commercial, drink Coca-Cola and eat popcorn. And then they noticed at the bar there, sales went up astronomically just by putting an idea in someone's mind. Having that control over that. And
you can't walk down the street without the billboards hitting you, without the music. It's coming at us from all angles, and that's why so many people are just so massively brainwashed, and they can't wake up because they spend all day looking at their phones. They are not in tune with reality, and they don't want to be in tune.
That's right. They seem to be happy living in that brainwashed mind state. So you've had your Facebook account affected, and other forms of attack from government. That would have set back your activism significantly?
It was a slight setback.
Yes.
Every setback is a set-up for a greater success. For a while, well, I am now banned from Facebook for life.
That's shocking.
Joseph Mikhael, they deleted my pages. I am the two-time Guinness World Record breaker, the first ever human being to DJ for 7 days straight. They deleted my SMOKIN'JOE MEKHAEL DJ page as well. But even Facebook and this entire sadistic, satanic surveillance system with their billions of dollars and all of their government control and their millions of mindless, moronic, mental midgets working for them, they aren't smarter than a few revolutionary warriors who have love in their heart. And thanks to the ingenuity and intelligence of several revolutionary warriors, we managed to hack the system, and I have still been streaming live on Facebook for the past several months.
Right. You know, that's actually the first time I've ever heard of somebody getting banned for life. It was when I come across your case. It's good to expose that corruption here at We Are Change. That's just unheard of. I mean, and what, you received an email stating this, the notification that you received? You just went to log on one day?
Locked out, I couldn't get into it. I tried to get back into it, didn't work. I made about 4 accounts with my name, Joseph Mikhael, Joe Mikhael. They just shut them down after 1 minute. They will not allow me to get another account at all.
And you notice when that happens, it seems like you must have been doing something right, exposing something in an extreme case, and that they didn't want you doing that.
They are just freaking out, man. They are shaking and quaking and breaking in their boots because one man who raised his voice at last year's Anzac Day minute silence, who shattered the silence by saying, "Stop the war, bring peace to the world," that got so much coverage internationally. And they're still talking about it. They're going to go back to court for it on the 17th. And I will repeat that protest once again. They are so scared of people who are spreading peace and love. They're going to do their best to demonize me, call me a terrorist, get rid of my Facebook account. But I'll tell you what, they can't stop the power of love.
Oh, that's very positive thinking. And some of the programs that was aired on, and it was even released in the newspaper, wasn't it? That made big headlines, that protest. The Anzac Day protest, that made big headlines, didn't it?
Oh, it made massive headlines here in England. They are still doing news stories on it. Remember when I went to court last time, they had all the cameras there waiting for me. Of course, it's going to be even better because when one man raised his voice saying "Stop the war, save the world," it went all over the world. And I would like to call on everyone who can hear the sound of my voice right now across Australia and New Zealand to go to their local Anzac Day dawn service this year on Anzac Day, April 25, and when the minute silence rolls around, shatter that minute silence. Yell at the top of your lungs, "Stop the war, save the world, stop the war, save the world," until someone punches you in the face or you get arrested. The thing is, we have the power to stop the war. We have the power to save the world. But we must have the courage to put our bodies on the line and make our voices heard.
That's right. And you see a lot of the soldiers that are in Afghanistan, they're guarding the poppy fields. I'm sure that's not why they enlisted in the service, to protect a drug running syndicate. You look in the Barry Seals case as well, the Reagan administration, they're doing a lot of drug running. It's actually, what the government is saying don't use those drugs, use our drugs, isn't it? And that's why they push pharmaceuticals.
More deaths are from pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
The CIA is running the cocaine through South America. They're running the opium through Afghanistan. They're running all the drugs, and like I said before, the biggest racket is the pharmaceutical market, getting children, infants, on meth, on speed. It is frying these children's brains, and once again, that's why many people don't realise what's happening in the world, because they have literally been lobotomized chemically.
Yes, I think then that seems to be what's happening. And you see a lot of families when they get together at like Christmas and other festive times, Easter, they try and educate some of their loved ones, and they get greeted with mixed responses, and it often becomes very hostile when you're trying to explain some of the atrocities that the government is committing. That's very sad as well.
Yeah, you're right. I'll be honest with you. Lots of my family, and I've lost lots of friends, speaking the truth, especially up Anzac Day thing. Friends I've had for a long time, more than 10 years, turned their back on me, said they want to punch me in the face.
That's very sad.
Stop the war, save the world. It's a very sad thing. The thing is, a lot of people don't have the courage to wake up. And what I've learned in doing this since 2001 is that you can't keep hammering those people because they don't want to hear the truth. That's why I founded the Save the World Army, because I know that there are literally millions and millions of people all over the world who can see what's going on and who want to do something about it. And it's my goal to bring all those people together, to bring this evil system down. We can do it. We don't need to be a majority. We just need a tireless minority whose hearts are on fire with freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And you deserve to be applauded, not hit with negative responses from people that you grew up with. I think a lot of it is too, people just don't want to admit that they've been lied to by their government, and it's just too easy to stay asleep.
It is courage in the end. Aristotle said that courage is the foremost of all of the virtues, because without courage you can't practice any of the others. And the thing is, people know in their hearts that the chemtrails are in the sky. People can see the children dropping dead from the vaccines. They know that war's bad in their hearts. But they don't have the courage to admit that, because if they admit that, then they've got to look into the other things. And when they realise that the government's killing them and their family, they're faced with a choice. Either keep going along with the system or fight against it. And many of them don't have the courage to fight against the system because they like their job, they like having their wife, they like having their quiet life where they can sit at home and watch TV and just rinse and repeat every single day.
Yes.
I really am doing my best to bring about freedom to the world while I'm still on this earth, but I don't make any bones about it. You've got to be dedicated for life.
Absolutely. And if people want to look you up, they can log on to Facebook and search the Save the World Army. And
Save the World Army, yeah.
and you've also got a YouTube as well for people so they can watch that.
Yes, the Save the World Army on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And, excuse me, I also started a new revolutionary social media network. It's the SaveTheWorld.army, because of course they can cancel our Facebook accounts, they can switch off the internet or the electricity just like that. We should try and diversify our communications as much as we can.
Absolutely. And what plans have you got in store for the future?
So much coming up. I am going to court on next Wednesday.
Really?
Because I had another incident where I allegedly called out a bunch of Masons for their satanic pedophilic practices. So I've got to go to court on March 14th for that. On Saturday the 24th of March, it is another Save the Children, Save the World rally. I think you're going to be a part of that as well, Jeff?
Yes, absolutely. And you've got...
conducting protests here in Sydney. I'm leading the protest in Newtown at the Martin Luther King mural on King Street in Newtown, kicking off at 4:20 p.m. Also, on the 6th of April, it will be the anti-vaccine rally in the same place, King Street, Newtown. It's going to kick off at 11 a.m. On the 17th of April, I am going back to court for those ridiculous, frivolous charges against me for my Anzac Day protest, and the media will be there waiting for me. And April 20 is the 420 free cannabis picnic at Victoria Park in Sydney. I'm going to be DJing there. Revolutionary Sergeant 837 J-Dog from up in Port Macquarie will be also playing some beautiful piano. Several other DJs there. We're going to have a pretty awesome day with lots of food and cannabis.
It sounds like a hot ticket.
And the biggest protest of all, April 25, Anzac Day. Once again, I call on everybody who can hear the sound of my voice to go to their local Anzac Day dawn service and interrupt the minute silence by shouting, "Stop the war, save the world." That's how we're going to stop the war. That's how we're going to save the world.
Absolutely. And so if you're there at 4:20, head down to the location mentioned. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's happening in capital cities. Everybody be there or be square. And your Anzac Day campaign, just to make that clear, that's in a civil, it's civil disobedience. And you're doing that respectfully to promote peace. What you're doing is trying to end the war, end the bloodshed. Just so...
I reach out to the veterans and their families. I really love you, honestly. I don't want the next generation of children die in the wars like the previous generation did. The wars are a scam. It's all made to make the rich
Absolutely.
for them to increase the control of the people. I love you. I consider you a brother. I consider you a sister. I don't want you to be a victim of this evil machine. And if that means putting my neck on the line and making people angry, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, no disrespect. I've got nothing but love for the people, and that's why I'm going to do it again. That's why I'm going to be shouting, "Stop the war, save the world," and that's how we're going to stop the war. That's how we're going to save the world.
Well done. And you notice a lot of the returned veterans, they suffer from PTSD, and they're more likely to commit suicide and take their own life than actually be killed on the battlefield. And then they're overprescribed pharmaceuticals, which has a negative effect. So, they're victims as well of a tyrannical government. Yeah.
And I reach out to the veterans as well. We have a lot of veterans in the Save the World Army because so many of them realise what's going on and how the government's been screwing them 6 ways from Sunday for so long. And I'm so glad to have so many of them on our side.
Yes, well look, I want to thank you once again for appearing on the show. This has been a very powerful transmission. I wish you all the best for your current court cases that are pending, and keep doing the brilliant work that you're doing, Joe. We'll end it right there from We Are Change. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I'd like to reciprocate that. Keep up the excellent work, my man. you and your whole crew at We Are Change, we don't agree on everything, but we do agree that there's an evil system that's enslaving the human race. That's why we must come together to bring them down. Much love to you, Jeff.
We wish everybody at the Save the World Army the very best. Next we have a video call from Rob, who would like to discuss chemtrails.
Good morning, folks.
Morning. So let's talk about stratospheric aerosol injections, otherwise known as chemtrails. What originally got your interest into this subject?
Well, looking out of a plane window, I've taken pictures of nozzles.
Yes?
Getting out planes, and I have posted all these, but again, that account got pulled.
Yeah, shocking. The censorship is outrageous on this subject.
I'll find a way to get my account back, but that's not the only place these pictures exist. I'll just call them nozzles.
Yes.
I'm not saying what's out or anything, actually being factual, but I can't prove that a fuel duct one that they admit happens, that you often see films of.
Yes.
Fuel's chemical. Chemicals reacting in hot exhaust, things will catalyze, things will happen. That is a chemical trail, it's a chemtrail.
I've seen pictures of tanks with pipes running through. The whole plane fitted out with it.
I've seen them coming out of the back of planes, but you would imagine you would want to have smoke screen drills and stuff over with your armies and your militaries. But yes, I can see how that could be very diabolically used.
Absolutely.
Put it lightly. You know, I can explain these things in many ways. Here's what the sales brochure says can be done with this, but you know, here's your can opener. But what else can you use it for?
And do you believe a lot of the pilots are aware of this?
Listen, I'm sure they have to be, but there's got to be gag orders involved here. But to have an excuse saying I have to feed my family is no excuse to me anymore. It just isn't.
There would be a non-disclosure agreement signed.
I have tasted plants and leaves, soils, over the entire planet, everywhere I've gone, and I have been around the entire world.
Wow.
I took a compass to check where my headings were on my planes to see, because I test every theories out. So I would always know where I was.
Yeah, good work.
My heading and all that, because I do get bored.
And as far as the high-frequency active auroral research program, otherwise known as HAARP, it's funded by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. You're familiar with this operation?
Well, HAARP is an anagram for one device up in Alaska.
That's correct, yeah.
But it's technology that we could just call HAARP. Let's just broaden its definition. Yes, HAARP technology is being deployed even locally. From your NEXRAD radar stations, locally influenced and local weather, like what's going on with these storms in Australia once they come ashore, to these large ships and arrays that they have that are constantly seen in Suva Bay, Fiji, that I have pictures of.
And a lot of these chemical particles that fall to the earth, a lot of it ends up on trees, which has sparked a lot of the wildfires that were taking place.
Definitely the metals are an accelerant.
Yes.
They definitely fire accelerant. There's no doubt about that. And plus the drying out effect. And the trees are dying, it seems, from the inside. When I'm seeing trees falling over, they're not just snapping in half from the wind anymore. They're rotted from the inside. The very cores of the trees are being taken out with some kind of a black look. I haven't had it tested, but I'm seeing this all over the entire planet. I've seen it in New Zealand. I've seen it in Australia. I've seen it in Turkey, I've seen it in the UK, the United States. It's just everywhere. So this is a worldwide issue. It's
Well, that concludes another episode of the We Are Change talk show. Remember, if you've been experiencing corruption, we would like to hear about it here. Feel free to contact us directly at We Are Change Melbourne, or describe what you've been suffering in the comments. Subscribe for another show where we expose corruption, one episode at a time.